Some dozen or so years ago, I made some silly New Year's Day joke on Twitter. It was something to the effect of like, wow, it's only January and people already have their Christmas decorations up. Cue about like 10 likes and a couple of retweets. Not every joke of mine is a banger, but a couple of days later, I'm on Facebook. This was like 2013, and a friend of mine posts that exact same joke. And I was like, so you're not going to quote me or anything? And they just took it down. And listen, this shit happens all the time on social media, especially with friends who do not create things for a living. They forget that jokes are written by someone, that ideas are created, and that in an ideal world, we either offer citation or maybe even compensation for the use of said content. In the case of my Facebook friend, I was extra disappointed because he was a writer and creator too and should know better, though he was also in his mid-20s at the time, so maybe it was a learning experience about stealing jokes. There is, though, a pretty fine line between taking and borrowing, between plagiarism and inspiration. Sometimes it's hard to tell exactly where a creator is using their deep memory of inspirational art to draw out tropes and devices, and when they are consciously or maybe unconsciously appearing to be something they aren't. Christian Ponce's 2020 witchy noir thriller History of the Occult brilliantly draws on some pretty key inspirations. For instance, in terms of plot and dialogue mechanics, I can see Shane Carruth's confusing and compelling low-budget time travel movie Primer informing so much of this movie, of what's happening in Ponce's film that we watched this week. But my relationship to Christian Ponce goes back before this. It goes back to 2017 with the animated series The Curlian Frequency, a story about strange conspiracies and happenings narrated by a community radio host with a sonorous baritone voice. Not to mention the Curlian Frequency's purple, black, and white color palette and an image of their radio host as an exact replica of Welcome to Night Vale fan art of Cecil Gershwin Palmer. Do I own the idea of a radio station in a small weird town telling strange stories? Absolutely not. Tuna, Texas and Lake Wobegon have done this long before me. Do I own that image of our show's narrator? Totally not. No, the fans drew that from their collective imagination. Is Ponce plagiarizing? I would say probably not. Am I giving him the side eye? Oh, yeah, always. Does it matter? In the grand scheme, absolutely. But honestly, I'm only bringing it up because I'm petty and I won't let it go. Still, I love this film, even though, just like with Primer, I am not entirely sure what just happened. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
What news program did your family watch growing up?
Oh dear.
Were you like 60 Minutes people? Were you like Nightline?
Yeah. I don't know if my parents religiously watched any of the sort of news magazine shows. It was just like maybe it was on, like they were just they like the 6 o'clock news. I don't know, kind of more.
Yeah,
They're more local news people.
I gotcha. You
Yeah.
weren't like a Ted Koppel stands or
No, I don't
whatever.
think so. I
Okay.
do remember like a few moments where like I remember Tiananmen Square was happening and my mother was like, "You're too young to understand, but you need to come in to the living room and watch what's going on right now."
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were definitely CNN people just because we by the time I got into high school, I remember we had cable by that point, and my
Hmm.
stepdad just kind of kept it
Ooh,
on CNN.
fancy.
But it was kind of like we're a pretty conservative family, so it was kind of pre Fox News. This would have been like early
Right.
90s. So it was before we got into calling it the Clinton News Network,
Oh, Jesus.
that sort of thing. So
My
I'm
God.
sure had I grown up 10 years later, we would have been all Fox News all
All
the
Fox
time.
News all the time. Yeah.
Fucking
Ugh.
Newsmax full throttle.
Blech.
Cecil, once again, I failed to get us a single guess. I got us two guests from the best horror movie podcast around. Uy, que horror. I got us a Jonny and a Aileen. Hi, y'all.
What's
Hi,
up?
the best horror movie podcast?
Yeah,
What?
sure, yeah.
This
I love
whole
it.
thing
Coming
I
from
got-
you two, I'm like, my goodness. Wow,
Oh,
thank you so much.
Such an honor to be here to discuss weird news.
Oh
Holy
my
Stuff.
God,
shit.
I love it.
I will admit we were talking before the show, Aileen, you mentioned you went back and listened to, y'all did an episode on this a couple years back.
Yeah.
And so I went back after I watched the film last night and listened to y'all's episode on that, which was so much
Oh,
fun because I'm like,
dear
maybe
God.
they will clarify for me
No.
what has just happened.
Literally just said before we started, maybe Cecil and Jeffrey will just clear stuff up for us.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping, that maybe not 2 brains didn't totally work it out. Maybe 4 brains will be able to.
We're going to surround it.
Yes.
Like circle the
Encompass
wagons.
this thing and see what the fuck is going on here on this day.
Oh, go ahead, Johnny.
Sorry, I was just gonna say real quick that I also re-listened to the episode with a lot of trepidation because I was like, I remember I was the one who took the notes on this film, and
you
I
were
was
the
just
lead.
like, I needed a lot of extra time. We like had to push back our record date because I was just like, Aileen, I can't fucking do this. I need more time to piece this together. And I will say that like I thought we did a good enough job of like making sense of it. But I then, after listening to the episode, listened to the beginning of our next 2 episodes because Historia del Oculto brought out the fans and they were like, this is what it means. This is what it means. I don't think we've ever gotten a bigger like response from an episode than Historia del Oculto because everybody was like, I want to give you my take. I want to give you this. Argentinians were sharing a political history that Aileen and I were not completely unaware of. So it's a fascinating movie. And I will say,
Christian Ponce himself.
Christian Ponce and the actress who played Maria, I think like reached out. They like reposted our stuff, which felt very, very cool. But then aside from re-listening to the episode, I of course rewatched the movie and I was like, okay, I'm doing better. I'm doing a little bit better, but I'm still like, wait a minute here, like piecing together all these little puzzle pieces. So I too, like you, Aileen, I'm like, listen, Jeffrey and Cecil, they're going to get us through this shit. They're going to get us to what the hell is going on here.
Those brains are so much juicier than ours. And here we are hoping that is the case.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. Totally.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess the first 40 minutes of this movie, I was like, names. Just names. Names. Words and names. Names.
So many names.
Who's the who? Who's what? Who's in what faction? Wait, I thought the witches were sponsoring it. No, the sponsor's a witch, but not a witch, but not these witches. Which witch is which?
Which is which?
Which?
Yeah.
I think brought up Primer because that is another movie that I think has a huge, like, small, dedicated fan following. It's from like 2005, and it is.
I've never heard of this movie.
Is it Justin Timberlake?
Really good.
It's really good. It is. It is.
His first
is it with the clock?
Film?
With the watches? Is that what that is?
It's about time travel. It's the one about time travel. The 2 guys who invent time travel in their garage, right?
Yeah, it was literally made for like I think like $7,000.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So not Justin Timberlake?
Not Justin Timberlake.
Way off.
It is. Which is kind of like this movie has some bigger special effects to it than Primer does, but it's pretty basic stuff. I mean, there's no real like blood or gore. Even the monster, which is scary, is all pretty simple effects that they're using. But in Primer, one of the tricks that Primer does that I always took inspiration from, which is if you have a complicated subject matter like time travel and the science behind making a time traveling machine is just move so fast with so much information that the viewer can't really stop to question, because otherwise it's going to be filled with holes.
Yeah.
Because if you were a good enough writer to write a holeless plot about time travel, you would have already invented time travel. And time travel is one of the hardest things to write because it is full of paradoxes, etc. And the same thing I think with government conspiracy movies too, like this one. It's just don't slow down. Just keep it going and leave it up to people later to become huge fans of like nitpicking all the little details. And that's what Ponce does so well in this movie is just he makes a script that is very entertaining, very compelling, very tense, and so confusing. But if you're into that, I bet there's a lot of value in watching this 5 or 6 times.
I bet you Severance fans would eat this shit up.
Yes. Yeah.
Because Severance is all about all that like how can I find the details? And you're just like, some of us are simple fools who just need to be slapped across the face with information and then told that's the information you received, because it's truly like, for me especially when it comes to government stuff, I'm already like, okay, hold on to your butts, Aileen, because this is gonna be tough. And then foreign government stuff, okay, hold on to your other butt, Aileen. And then supernatural shit, okay, well, all my butts are being held, and I'm just gonna have to let it ride.
Well, it's such a smart choice on Christian Ponce's part to like be like, okay, if we're going really factual here, the plot holes will not be as easy to digest. But then when you throw brujeria and the supernatural in there, it's such a smart way to be like, well, anything can happen here. And if you look into like the actual history of Argentina's politics, there is some truth to the supernatural and witchery.
And government.
Right, which you're like, wait, what? What the fuck? But it exists.
Which is it's so nice to have the character Maria in this film, who is the grounding presence of it all. She's the one that's like, I'm a journalist. We are producing a news program. I'm here to deliver facts, and everyone in this crew should be also, their goal should be, we are delivering facts. And then if it weren't for her being like the clear vision and mind, then it would truly be absolute chaos in the brain.
Yeah, she's like the healthy skeptic.
Yes.
And thank God.
Yes.
Because what is that dude Abel who's like, hey, we just got this package of roots. Everybody eat your ayahuasca. Here we go.
Let's go. Hey guys, drugs right now in this moment? Why not?
Is this working? Are we at work right now?
I like that Abel knows he's in Poltergeist and Maria knows that she's in Spotlight.
Yes!
That's
for real.
Absolutely.
Well, let's start with 1987, Buenos Aires. 60 minutes before midnight, which is, y'all mentioned this on your podcast before, an incredible name for a news program.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. So good. That guy, Don Alfredo, I think is his name, the host, could not be more better cast.
Oh, yeah.
To be the host of a program like this. Like, you guys were talking about the news programs that you watched when you were younger with your family. Being raised in a foreign land, we had also, like, in Brazil, I spent my youth in Brazil. So I remember Sunday nights we had Fantástico was the name of the program, which means fantastic.
Wow.
And so Fantástico had like basically the like just the news of the week, not just Brazil, but the world. And like, it was a little bit more lighthearted, but it also talked about like in general heavier things. And I remember Sunday nights, mom and dad, okay, time for a Fantástico, and we would like see the news. And there are some Brazilian newscasters that to this day, their faces, I'm like, if I ever see clips online or stuff like that, I'm like, that's my youth. Like, and that guy looks so much like so many of those guys I watched when I was younger.
Truly, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think there's a couple of like key bits of information on this news show that only hit me late in the film that I'm like, wait, I'm glad I wrote these notes down. One, that this takes place in 1987, which by the end of the movie, you're like, what year is it? What's happening? The other thing is, how warm is it outside? That I kept watching and I only clocked at the beginning at the bottom, they've got the time and temperature at the bottom of the
Yeah.
screen, and it's Celsius. So it's like 9 degrees Celsius, which I think is close to 60 degrees ish. And anyway, so I'm sorry, close to 50 degrees ish. And so I'm watching this, and by the end it's like 24 degrees in that studio over the course of 1 hour, which is not
interesting.
hot, but that's
But things are heating up.
That's quite an increase in less than an hour for local temperature to go up. 15 degrees Celsius is going up close to 40 degrees, I think, almost 35 degrees Fahrenheit.
Something like that.
I find that to be, I mean, depending on what you think happens by the end of the film, I found that to be such a smart and subtle little addition that you might not even pay attention to, that you're just like, wow, it's getting, I don't think it's specifically the studio. I think it's this area is getting hotter. Is what I imagined.
Like they're burning a lot of psychic energy, and it's just like a little cauldron that's heating everything up.
Or we're getting closer to something inevitable.
The end of the world, sort of apocalypse. The future is over.
Kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. I never noticed the temperature until Jonny said it to me at the recording of our episode, and I was like, "What? Okay, cool."
Yeah, I missed that. I was more focused on our host's wide tie and tie clip. How did he do that? Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely outside temperature. But yeah, it's such an interesting, tiny little detail.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't really stop to explain things very often, if at all, to you. Which
1,000%.
Which I think is why it makes for such a fun reviewing for people who have the brain that's like, I have to figure out. They have to do the wire like pins and strings of yarn on the wall. Oh yeah, Charlie. Yeah, the Charlie meme.
It's like an escape room almost.
Mm-hmm. And especially when the producers are in that little space there, you're like, where are you?
Well, one, who are you?
Who are you?
It took me 20 full minutes to realize that they were producers for the TV show. I'm sorry, I'm a dumb dummy.
No,
same.
That happened.
I was like, are these
same exact thing
political act? Because I thought they were like I thought they were political activists like trying to do something rather than the producers of the show. I didn't quite get that delineation.
Sure,
I thought Lucio and Maria, when we first see them, because Lucio gets a call from Natalia, who's way younger, and I thought, oh, are they a married couple? Because they're in a house. You can see like a kitchen behind Maria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this their like niece that they've roped into helping out with some kind of, are they like political organizers or something? And so my note was like, wife tells husband, blah, 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 because I didn't even have their names yet.
Well, she did say, like, I kind of got the relationship as like he's a sort of political science professor, and these are his sort of media science and these are his ex students, because she's like, listen, we're not your students anymore.
Yeah, we're not in class right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Professional relationship, just unclear exactly who this little hive is.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can build a picture for people I try and like just hit the anchors, right? So we already brought up Alfredo, who is the news anchor, very grandfatherly, classic, like almost like 50s, 60s style, Walter Cronkite.
I was going to say Cronkite.
Base.
Yep.
So he is on air in a studio. It is their final show of 60 Minutes Before Midnight, because the government, which is run by President Velasco, has essentially censored them. They've been shut down. So they've got this one last show, and they have been doing a deep investigation into Velasco. We will get to that, what that is, in a second, but we're going to have a whole panel show being run out of the studio. Meanwhile, these really 5 producers, if you count Natalia, who kind of strikes me as like the intern they sent on the errand.
Yeah, for sure.
Girl, go get us some coffee, and also stand by this phone booth the entire night.
Yeah, and don't forget your gun.
Rather capable, though. I was gonna say like a rather capable intern.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, she's
as it
doing good
turns out.
stuff. Those
Yeah.
bangs, those bangs
Mhm.
are doing work.
Yeah.
Those bangs are working.
So the producers of this TV program are all in a safe house because they have been hounded, they have been followed, they have been tracked and harassed, and they are trying to produce from this house that seems to be kind of exurban, if not fully rural, because we see one shot of the house and it looks pretty remote-ish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So these people are Maria, the practical, fact-based journalist type. We've got Lucio, who is more of the academic guy, like he's the professorial type. We will meet soon Jorge, who I just called Beanie because that's how we first meet him. But
Blondie,
Jorge,
yeah.
Jorge Federici.
Oh,
who is-
Federici.
yeah,
I know him as
Federici.
Federici.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Who is our more like feet on the ground investigative journalist, and then
Yeah.
also Abel Curly, who
Curly.
is
Curls.
yeah,
Yes.
Curly mustache.
Yeah.
Curly mustache.
who is just doing his own thing. He's
a maverick.
He is
Yeah.
a maverick. I like Abel
He's
quite a
been
bit.
to the farms. He's seen some things.
Yeah.
Oh, the farms!
He
What
seems
the
on
fuck
edge.
happened on the
The
farms?
farms, dude. Las granjas. What's happening in these
God.
farms? What are you growing? Can
Yeah.
we go visit?
Yeah.
Are there cows?
To everyone like me who was kind of like screaming at the screen and Sinners when we were like, bring back where'd the vampire hunters go? Where'd they
Yeah.
go? I wanna
Wait,
see
no
more of
spoilers.
that.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Don't tell me any spoilers yet.
Jonathan.
I
But
haven't seen it yet.
listen, that's nothing compared to like what happened on the farms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
True.
going on
True.
the farms in this
Yeah.
film? Holy shit. Okay, so those four are all holed up here. And then Natalia is our kind of like wild card producer, intern, whatever, who has been sent to a payphone
Yeah.
somewhere in the city. She is waiting on the delivery of some item, is how I perceived what was happening, from the medical conglomerate Von Merkin.
Oh.
Von
Merkins. Yep.
Oh my
Von
God.
Merkins.
Who are the people, who's the entity that gave all the money, like triple the budget to have one more episode of 60 Minutes Before Midnight.
Yes.
One last time.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. See, that I didn't even recall. So Merkins
Yeah.
is in charge or Merkins gave money so that 60 Minutes Before Midnight could have their final episode and expose Velasco.
Yes.
And I think that, okay, so Beanie meets up with dude in a trench coat, sort of Kyle MacLachlan in a trench coat. He's
Yeah.
a Merkin.
He's a Merkin. Okay.
And they're like, hey, we've got this thing. Take this thing, give it to the friend at the farm, put on this Merkin.
Put
Right.
this
He'll-
Merkin on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
He'll
a
know
Merkin
what
in
to
the
do with
box.
this Merkin.
He'll know what to do with it.
There's a little piece of paper with instructions to put on your Merkin.
Yep.
And
And
then-
it'll all go swimmingly after
and then
that.
you guys can nail it.
Yeah.
Great.
But one thing about Von Merkin, it is like a medical thing. Is
Yes.
that what they establish? I think
Yes.
that is such a smart choice, because the moment I hear about like a medical conglomerate, like this big powerful entity, I'm like, I don't trust you. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're
Pharma,
fucking-
big
you're
pharma.
big
Yeah.
pharma.
Absolutely.
But you're on our team, so I think that's such a smart choice for you to be like, I'm not sure about this. You know,
And
like
they're
I don't want to
also-
trust this.
They're also the ones that are putting on the commercial of the creepy kids.
Yes.
So like, the future's over. We're doing it for the
Look at all
most
these
precious
kids.
resource on Earth. And then they never say what it is, but we all know it's the children.
It's the children.
It's made 100% of children.
Yeah, for real.
Uh-huh.
Whitney Houston comes out. I believe the children are our future.
All right, so that's kind of the setup of where our heroes are, but it is unclear, as you said, Johnny. It's like Von Merkins is a pharmaceutical research something, and so whoever is against whoever is a little tough to tell. And I was trying to remember there's a really old adage that's something like when the elephants dance, the ants are trampled, or when the elephants dance, the chickens have to run. It's something to the effect of like when the bigger creatures dance, unknowingly beneath the smaller critters die. And so anytime you see large billionaires going after each other, you can't say, oh, yay, Mark Cuban, he's on our side. Like, you can't know that. You can absolutely not know that. He may be doing something that benefits you, but that doesn't mean necessarily that he's on your side. And so that's the thing here, is that, like, we think, yay, Von Merkins is helping us to fight the evil Belasco, but how are all these people tied in together? They're all like billion-dollar corporations.
And
Right.
what
They're
is
all
that, what is that a
angry
front
witches.
for, you know?
Yeah. For
Totally.
turning children into fuel.
Yeah.
Right.
To feed to demons.
Exactly.
Right.
To create the pocket universe that we all live in which everything is black and white, and 1987.
Yeah.
Right.
Which,
Exactly.
Is that what it is?
That's what I think it is.
Different
Okay.
dimensions.
I saw, like, in sort of like trying to do the Charlie meme this morning, trying to figure this movie out, I saw somebody use the term pocket dimension. I was like, oh, okay. I think that's a really good term for
That feels very clarifying to me. I
Right?
feel like a couple curtains just went, aha, Aileen, does this make more sense? And it kind of does.
And that pocket dimension is in black and white. It's antique. It's sort of a alternate timeline
Sure.
that is actually laid over current modern times, hence the cell phones at the very end.
Yeah.
And also, I think, like, to add to that pocket dimension idea, the more power Velasco and this, like, the dark side, if you will, the more power they get, the more pocket dimensions there are.
Yeah.
Or there will be, like, once they're used up. I don't know. I'm just adding that out there.
Sure.
I don't
I think you said
know.
it was more like a lease on an apartment. They're like, listen, this lease for this
one's
pocket
over.
dimension is only like
It's almost
20
done.
years.
So
Yeah.
You
we
got to
need to
feed
work on
us
the next
500
one.
children.
Yes.
And then we're going to
Right.
we're going to roll over your lease to the next 20
Your
years.
next dimension will have color, you know, maybe a couple years in the future. Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get you a new fridge.
Right.
And I think, Cecil, you just said something too that like got me really thinking, which is that this idea of like 1987 news journalism as the thing that's going to solve the problem, that all we have to do is just call out our fascist dictatorship leader. All you have to do is be like, who is it? When Joseph McCarthy was finally brought down before Congress, it was the retired military colonel or whoever, Joseph Walsh, who was like, at long last, sir, have you no decency? And like this quote kind of gets carried over like, oh, what a noble thing to really show the world, man, he has no decency. Well, that shit doesn't work when you're talking about fascism, right? It doesn't work against Donald Trump, or it doesn't work against Pinochet. It doesn't work to be like, this guy is evil. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. About halfway through, like this sort of like, I'm confronting you and I demand the truth from you, sir, here on live national television. I was like, wow, what an innocent time.
Yeah. Like literally, I think that's a big part of why my brain can't put the connectors to all the info, is because literally Maria, like, she says, okay, Alfredo on screen, like at live, is going to name these 4 points in front of everybody. And he will either, Marcato will either confirm or deny. And I'm like, he can just be like, no, he can just lie. But he's literally like, 1, did you bing, bang, boom? And he's like, yes, no. And I'm like, this is insane. It feels too honest, like from politicians and people involved with politics. I feel like that's not something people would outright deny or confirm when it comes to just listing out shit. You know what I mean? It feels crazy.
So their plan, this is essentially the entire plot of this movie in terms of this TV show of what they're trying to do. I mean, the movie's doing so much more than just bringing down President Belasco by calling him a witch or confirming that. But the idea is that you have 3 people on this panel on this TV show that they have brought on. And one is Senator Linares, who we kind of get a little clip. He was responsible for the new national ID law or whatever. So he's whatever. Random senator is brought on a part of the establishment. We also have Daniela Aguilar, who is a sociologist and author of, I love this, the book is called Michelle Doesn't Remember Anything, which is a callback to Michelle Remembers, an actual 1980s book. Michelle Remembers.
Panic.
Yeah, Michelle Remembers
is
a 1980 very highly debunked story from a psychologist who worked with a patient, later, I believe, married her.
Oh.
Anyways, but he drew out through some very dubious ways. He drew out memories of being part of a satanic child trafficking cult compound sort of bit.
Okay,
Sure.
Okay.
And Michelle Remembers was a really key part to like throwing fire onto the already kind of raging satanic panic era.
Yeah.
Right.
So Michelle Doesn't Remember Shit might as well be the name of this book, which I found really funny. And the third panelist is Adrian Marcato, vice president of, love this name, Kingdom Corporate.
Yeah.
One of the fastest growing companies in the world. The journalists have all set up an arrangement we sort of grow to understand throughout this that they've gotten Marcato in there. He's a plant. They just have to get something to him. He agreed to confirm Belasco is a brujo and we're all part of a coven and yada, yada, yada. And you just got to get me this one thing I asked for. And I will confirm, 1, Belasco and I are college buddies. We both founded Kingdom Corporate, though Belasco isn't on the records. Kingdom Corporate funded his campaign not only for success, but also funded many operations against Belasco's opponents. And finally, that this notebook, which we will get to in a second, links Kingdom Corporate and Belasco to this occult murder that we'll talk about next that I still don't quite have pinned down.
Which happens in the first 5 minutes and then is kind of
opens the movie. Yeah.
never really. Who is the what?
Who?
I think that's another political opponent. Like, because I think like in an hour and a half later, they show a picture of him on like sort of a Newsweek style cover, and he looks kind of like a political campaign.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like this is whoever Belasco was running against.
Yeah. And they disappeared him, literally.
Yes.
Literally
into a circle.
Into a pocket dimension.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they didn't disappear him. They just like turned the witch who like put him in a circle. The cop finds like, hey, stop that, whatever you're doing. The witch disappears. They find his body, but they can't ID him.
Right.
So they just labeled him as a
That's it.
John Doe.
Yeah. Because
You know what
But
I
then
just
but then that
put
body
together?
disappears.
Yes,
or
Aileen.
something.
Just put together. This is so, I cannot believe it. This whole entire fucking time, like literally from our episode, this whole entire fucking time, I thought the John Doe was the security guard.
Oh no. Okay. I can see
So,
that.
In my brain,
Okay.
what it did was the security guard in another pocket dimension was a politician, and some because they say a line where basically like he because he died, the security guy dies also.
Yeah.
Yes,
Later.
They say like they're like he was threatened and then he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the way they say it is very throwaway, but they're like que no sé qué, no sé cuánto, y se murió.
murió.
And you're just like, okay, so in
Oh.
okay. Wow. No wonder I was like, but how did the security guard, in my head, it was in a different dimension. the brujos did something to him as a political guy in another dimension, sent him to this dimension
To make him think he's just a mall cop.
Exactly, but that's not
fair,
the case.
To be fair, though, the picture of the politician
like
we
him.
see later
Does look like
looks
him.
very
Yeah.
much like the security guard.
Gracias.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Yes.
saying that, because that's the reason I was like, oh, see, that's the security guard being a politician.
Which I honestly didn't notice the similarity in the way they look until literally when I rewatched this movie for this episode that we're recording right now.
Okay, wow.
So
I
Thank
I think
God
that's
for
just
this.
confusing. Yeah.
I think this. So I've only watched this movie one time, and it was yesterday. But I did a lot of thinking about this movie last night and into the morning. But so it does feel like I think we got to this by witchy, Cecil. I think we got a witchy scare in Espanol, right?
Yeah.
So perfect. But it is witchy in that they are witches.
Oh yeah.
Warlocks, but also I think there's a little bit of, it does feel a little bit like Alien, right? Like not space traveling alien, but interdimensional aliens, because there is a
Sci-fi.
mention kind of at the end of like, you made an agreement with an interdimensional whatever that you get energy from them. That's how they are turning kids into fuel, but the kids aren't the fuel. The kids are the cash to buy the fuel, is how I understood that. So
I'd say less alien and more like
interesting.
Lovecraft,
yes,
old god kind of
absolutely.
We
Yes.
do get a very ominous octopus tentacle.
We do.
Yes,
we
we
do.
do.
Well, they say like entity, don't they? Like
Yeah.
they're never like el demonio or el
Yeah,
diablo.
right.
Yeah.
But it's just like I think it's also the use of the color red later in this movie, which makes it feel more
Devilly.
evil and I guess like hellish, you know.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily what it means.
No.
Well, I kind of was getting a lot of very like Aleister Crowley, sort of like the Hermetic Order of like, because that was that sort of like early 20th century, essentially just factions of witches and rich warlocks that just like had fights with each other and, you know, made other sects and had like very famous kind of like, fuck you, no, fuck you. I'm going to battle you with, I'm going to call a demon on you. Well, I'm going to call a demon on you kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
sure.
that is kind of like what these two factions of warlocks are doing to each other. Like, as, you know, the sort of the burned creature man,
Yeah.
the dark demon that Abel sees with the little white
the
eyes. I was
glowy
like, oh,
eyes.
they're literally calling demon servants to do this stuff
That's
for
so
them.
interesting. This makes me think of Pussy Cake, which one of my favorite things about Pussy Cake is
Loved
the
it.
fact that as you learn at the end that this other dimension that they're in, it's not just a zombie movie. It is a movie about some either interdimensional or space alien creatures, but they are at war with each other.
Yeah.
The humans are just there.
We just happen
Yeah.
to be there.
Yeah.
And they're feeding off the humans, which is great, one of them. And the other you think is on your side because it's killing the bad ones. But it's also like, I don't give a shit about you
Yeah.
in the way that, like, you don't give a
That
shit
you
about random
want-
animals. Yeah.
Exactly. Totally.
So,
Alien versus Predator.
Uh-huh.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're having their own war. You
And
gotta
we're
clear out
just in the
way.
middle of
Yeah. But I think with so at the beginning, we do see the security guard. It's a very classic horror trope, like security guard looking nervous, gun drawn, flashlight. In an alley, he can hear somebody there, and he comes across a devil beard, right? Like a guy with such a well-groomed
yeah.
beard as to
Chiseled
make him
Yes.
evil.
Yes.
And,
And in a very like, you know, 1980s suit, banker suit.
totally.
And Beardy is hunched over a body that's in a circle with symbols all around it. It's so
Bones
demonic.
and
Yeah.
All kinds
all
of
your
shit.
usual witchy shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it cuts out before we see what happens, though we're going to learn later that the Beardy just disappeared right before the security guard's eyes. This body was left my guess on it is that they have a ritual wherein they can disappear people not only from life, from the body, but from everyone's cultural memory. Step one, kill them. Step two, wipe everyone's memory of them. Step three, deposit them into the other dimension to never be seen again. This got interrupted by the security guard, so now we have a John Doe, a body that no one can identify because this man's record doesn't exist.
Right.
Everyone's collective memory has been wiped.
We've been, as Johnny said in our episode, Men in Black.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of the start that sets up everything. But I love that I think it's Alfredo explains it on the show. We found this notebook at the site. Classic. Like, I just love a notebook in a movie. Oh. It's becoming one of my favorite horror tropes of just a notebook filled with scrawlings and drawings.
Crazy shit.
With the diagrams. Yeah. We found there's languages in here that we can't even comprehend. But we know this is really important because this judge and this senator and this banker have all been listed and their telephone numbers are all drawn around a pentagram. So clearly this is something.
And the senator that's there in Linares is like, bro, I'm a public figure. Yeah. Like, my number is out there. People, I want my constituents to call me. I'm a good guy kind of thing.
He's so squeaky clean, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, so they've got these three panelists because two of them, Marcato and Senator Linares, are both mentioned in this notebook or connected to the notebook because people had been writing. They'd been like posting Linares' phone number everywhere. And he does have a great out. He's like, I'm a public figure. I have a public number. I can't control people doing that.
Look it up in the phone book.
Yeah. The end. I don't have to
call my office, leave a message with my secretary or whatever.
And I totally believe this guy. I totally believe he just kind of is like, I don't know if he's a good politician or a good dude, but I believe him in this case.
Yeah.
But it's Marcato who then says, he like brings up in the panel thing. One, it's very funny because he's like, oh, Alfredo, like, leave this poor man alone. Don't keep hounding him. He's just a pawn in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah.
Hey, Senator, how many kids do you have? 2. No, you have 3. Remember?
Are you sure?
You don't remember Sophia because she was wiped from your memory.
And used as fuel. Yes, we're agreeing on this. Whether
like
she was tossed
token?
into a fire or sent to a different dimension, they used her for something.
Yeah.
Right?
I
It's
think
like
she's
when you go play
currency.
Well,
to
yeah,
buy
it's like
the
when you go play
currency.
skee ball and you get a ticket and you
Sure.
get enough
She's the
tickets.
ticket.
And then you take the tickets over to the
demon?
old demon
Yes.
lord,
The children are the skee ball
and
tickets.
they give you a squishmallow.
But we
Which is the
Hey!
table.
know specifically what happened. Well, she might exist in another one of these pocket dimensions.
true.
Totally.
That's a possibility. Okay.
My
Which
feeling
is-
is that
Just choose
they're
your
like,
own adventure.
this is
Yeah.
what's going on at the farms. That's because later when I think Federici is like, what actually happened at the farms?
Did you see children
Did
there?
you see
Right.
children there? And he's like, we didn't see shit. I think that all these disappearing children were like condensed and sent away at the farms. And it's
Turned
this
into
like horrible memory that his like Abel is like, I can't even begin to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what the fuck happened.
Sure.
If you ever send an employee away, I'm not here to tell you how to do your job, bosses, but if you ever send an employee away for a 5-month like journalistic research project, and he comes back with an empty notebook being like, I don't know what just happened.
Something went awry.
I think you need a performance review. I'm not saying fire him. I'm saying I just want a detailed look into what were you doing for 5 months when you
Check
have
the accounts.
Yeah.
empty notebooks.
Check the footage.
Yeah, or your reimbursement. What reimbursements did you have? What is this $600 line item for cocaine? Is that what I think it is?
Oh
Oh
my.
my God.
But I think that's what happened at the farm. I think that the farms
The
is
farm
like,
is where they're compressing the children into
Yep.
logs to throw into
Yep.
the fire.
Yeah,
yeah,
basically.
I think so.
Another take. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Or spam. I imagine also maybe
Mm-hmm.
making cans
Kinda
of
like
children's
spam.
spam.
Yeah.
I think
Sorry, kids.
also what's creating the fuel are these like pocket, I like this pocket dimension phrase, but these
Mhm.
alternate dimensions is you can move things around and then move people out of one dimension and then suck that dimension dry of all fuel. So
Yeah.
my perception
Yeah.
by the end of this is whatever world we're depicting here in this film, whatever universe, which I think is multiple, it seems to slide between timelines,
Uh-huh.
but I think whatever 1987 world we have depicted in this film has been used as
It's-
fuel.
Yes.
That
being
has
sucked
been
dry.
sucked
I
dry.
think Mark
And
Hutter
yes.
says that. He's like, we're like a photocopy. He doesn't say this, but it's like photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy.
Mhm.
Like we're like this dimension is not as tasty as it was 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And then the next
Sure.
time we re-up our lease, it won't be as tasty then. And eventually we're all just going to be super bland. Like
Yeah.
it's going to like, we're making tofu here.
Sure.
Well, they've lost color. There's no color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. I'm learning so much already.
Me too.
Like,
Honestly, I'm like, could this be? Is this it? Are we
this
getting
is it.
slowly
I
but
feel
surely?
this
Circling
is
the wagons,
making
y'all.
more
Yeah,
sense.
we're getting
yes.
closer.
One of the lines I love is I can't remember. It's it might be Jorge, it might be Federici that says he talks about or is it Maria talking about having a dream? Like I try to wake up from a dream, but I can't. And at the end of the dream, I'm on fire. I just loved that line. I like that,
Uh-huh.
and also it brings into the notion of
Oh, who
not
does
just
say that?
life as a dream, but also it's a dream I cannot wake up from. Like in my dream, I know I'm dreaming and I cannot wake up.
Okay, let's talk about the
Ugh.
scene. So, like, Maria hears somebody saying her name and
Yes.
she goes down the hall to investigate.
Mhm.
But the audio, oh, you know what it is? The audio is from the television,
Mhm. Yeah.
but I can't remember whose. Is it the mall cop?
It's the tape deck. There was okay, so let's
God
get
damn
into
it.
Abel opens the package that
Okay.
when Federici shows up, he's got the package from Von Berkens.
Yeah.
They open the
Yeah.
package. Inside, I think I just clocked two things. One, a micro cassette recorder,
Yep.
Mhm.
little handheld, very 1987. And two, a little burlap sack full of Tanis root.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so, and some instructions on what to do and how the
Like,
ritual.
I love it's like a recipe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Put your hands,
Yeah.
palms up.
Make sure you have to fold the eggs into
Fold.
yes.
Yeah.
Wait, fold.
What do you mean fold?
I don't know how I can make myself more clear.
But
This
Maria,
is shredded cheese.
oh my
Yep.
God. But I believe it's the tape deck that is playing her name over and over. And she
Yes.
hears her name, walks toward it
Ooh,
into
creepy.
this room,
Yeah.
finds the tape deck playing her name, and she hits stop in the
Yeah.
middle of the name, opens the tape deck, and I think there's not a tape in it.
There's no tape.
No
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And
There
there's a
is
demon
no
behind
tape.
her.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Where you see the shadow and then she moves the curtain.
Yeah.
And then you see it there.
Yeah.
I think this dream that's being recounted, because it's somebody talking about, if I'm not mistaken, I believe one of the producers had a dream, recorded it, and it's Alfredo reading it out loud
That's
on
it.
the television.
That's it. That's it. That's
Uh-huh.
it.
And he's like, in my dream, I am somebody else, and I am myself, and I see this and this and that.
And
then
I'm with a bunch of people that
I'm
all
with a-
are professionals. Like he's
Exactly.
describing the safe house, right?
Exactly. And then suddenly I am the John Doe, and I am in a car, in a taxi, and then suddenly, and I don't know where I'm going, and then suddenly I'm on fire.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I taste earth in my mouth.
Yes, yes. But what does that?
What does who?
I think that is, this process of like literally like the sucking dry. Like that's
Yeah.
the end for you, as a source of fuel. But that also makes things confusing because it's like, well, I thought that was just the children
Sure.
as a source of fuel.
I think the children, I think the idea is that Belasco or whoever would be in charge, but Belasco in particular is so corrupt and as a politician,
Yeah.
I think part of the strategy is, I forgot to mention earlier, at the end of this 60 minutes before midnight broadcast, the journalist I think this news program has organized a midnight rally
Protest.
against Belasco.
Yeah.
Which again, not really facing up to what's really going on. You're like, well, this rally will certainly bring the president to his knees or what have you.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
It
Okay.
doesn't quite work in Witchland.
Yeah.
But I think Belasco is using the witchcraft for old school evil politician ways. You get rid of the youth, you get rid of the progressive antagonism against you.
Yeah.
And you can get rid of political opponents, people who are public figures. Yeah. And in a very traditional way, you can just shut down a news program. That's very classic fascism. Like, we just have to make sure that...
Just stonewall them, yeah.
Yeah, you stonewall them until they go out of business. But von Merkens is going to make sure that they get interdimensionally shuttled off, too, because he sent them Tannis root to all turn to dust from.
Right. Now, okay. So, was Van Merkens's plan to, like...
I don't know. I already know that I don't know.
Like, was Van Merkens's plan to have all these, the journalists in the safe house take the Tannis root and have it kill them?
Okay.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, what do you got? What do you got, Johnny?
Well, I mean, I think that's a little, like, we get to that a little bit later, but I think von Merkens had sent the Tannis root to the journalists for them to take it to reveal something that was locked inside of them already.
Yes.
And they needed Abel curly mustache to be there because Abel had already been to the granjas. So he knew that, to the farms, he knew that something there needed to be unlocked and revealed. And that has to do with Natalia at the payphone. Like, this needs to go here. The Tannis root needs to go here. That will reveal something. Once that is revealed, Natalia gets the information she needs to go get the thing that von Merkens needs to get back to the studio.
To Marcato.
Yeah.
To Marcato. But I believe that nobody really knows, like, what it is specifically, but all the things need to happen. Remember Easy
60 minutes before midnight.
Oh, right,
like, if that fails, like, that's the last resort, is to get that fucking the information from your hallucination from the Tannis root. We need to get that, or like to go through the system, get the thing we finally need, and that's going to solve it.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, it's like that's like the Tannis root helps you unlock the memory.
God, this is too much.
So is
the idea of these safe, because they already, like, skip now to the end of the film. Curly haired producer reporter dude is like, no, not Abel. At the end, who's like, there's five safe houses.
The psychic guy.
Yes. There's 5 safe houses that are all strategically around Argentina. They've all been wiped off the map. They are all the same. They all have the same thing inside of them. Here's an address. That memory has been, like, sucked out.
Yes.
And that's what they needed to give Natalia. And that's why she calls and she's like, please tell me you have it.
Yes. So she can go, they need the address so she can go to the safe house, pick up the box, which has a cell phone, to get to Mercado, to call his family that he doesn't remember having, so he can say the magic word, abracadabra, and then we all get liberated.
Right.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I think Marcato. Well, that's the thing too. We're totally skipping to the end. I'm so sorry, Jeffrey. I'm just like I go to go to the end. I'm not sure
Uh-huh.
if he. I don't know if he did or did not remember the fact that he had a daughter. Maybe the reason that he's distanced himself from the Presidente Velasco and Kingdom
Uh-huh.
Corporate is because he remembered or something like that.
And I think that makes sense because the phone call he makes is to his daughter, which this whole, all of this, all this information, listeners, friends, lovers, all of this, throughout all of this, they have this one piece of paper that they keep going back to check, like, do you have these facts straight? And it's how many children these people have in their lives. So they're like, Senator Linares has 2. Marcato, the El Brujo, has none. So and so has 2.
Yeah.
This random judge, who happens to be Maria's uncle, has 2. So Federici is always going back to the paper and be like, Maria, how many kids does this fucking guy have? And she's like, 2, 0, 2, 2. And so once they take the Tanis route, and Federici's like, okay, hagamos el test, let's do it again. How many kids does Linares has? And she goes, 3. And then how many kids does Mercato have? 1. And then everybody goes up by 1 kid. And so I think, okay, I think
We're doing it, y'all.
I think Mercato, who was the one, I think he lives with regret introducing witchcraft to Velasco as his college buddy. He's like, I went to college with this guy, and by the time I was in college, I had already been initiated as a warlock because I walked in on my grandma naked once doing some weird shit.
I know, right?
That's how it happens.
I didn't happen that quickly.
Listen, Grandma, I would like a cup of milk, please. And she says, get out, I'm doing witchcraft.
Christmases are wild at their family.
Crazy. So when he was little, he gets initiated into the witchcraft. He goes to college and he's like, hey, friends in college, want to learn something new? How about some witchcraft? And then those friends are like, cool, I think I'll enter politics. And one of them is Velasco. And he's like, guys, you know what I love to do? Witchcraft. And then he kills all his opponents. And somehow Mercato is like, oh, I remember I have a daughter that maybe has been sucked into another dimension or something like that. I'll tell you everything about it if you get me like proof that my daughter is alive. And that's what this whole rigmarole is. And finally, aló en un celular. I don't know what year. It's 1987, but I got an iPhone. And then he's like, aló, daughter's name. And then he's about to say, and then this is the part where I'm like, no entiendo. Like, it's him saying abracadabra, which hilarious that you said abracadabra, Cecil, because this actor who Jonny and I love, we're obsessed with him, Germán Baudino, he is in another horror movie called Abracadabra that is a very like giallo film, so it's funny you say that. We also have a huge petition over at Wiki Horror to make Germán Baudino the next Freddy Krueger. We feel like he would be very good at it.
Absolutely.
Okay. What was I saying? Ya se me olvidó.
See, that's the trouble with this movie. It's like if you let go of that thread for a second, you're
that's
like,
it.
I'm fucked.
That's it.
I'm so fucked.
But I think that's basically it. Is is entirely Marcato's motivation here. That's his stakes. He knows because of his relationship to this witchcrafty thing that he kind of helped open up, if he didn't do it himself, open all this up. And that regret, as y'all mentioned, is in knowing that you have a missing child somewhere and you want to regain that memory. And once he gets his daughter on the phone, you realize they did have some safe word that he knows a cross dimension of what to tell her to go look up and find. So it was
Right.
a thing he knew could happen, had set up a whole system that,
Yeah.
and he finally does it by getting this phone, right? But I want to go back to the process of what happens on this panel TV show. Because
Yes.
he
Let's
starts
take it
in
back.
on Linares. No, you have 3 kids. Linares gets pissed and just storms out. Pretty simple. So now we're left with Aguilar, who is the sociologist, who is the occult stuff is stupid. Like Marcato
Right.
is basically the
I'm a-
leader of a cult.
I'm a scientist, and
Yeah.
you're a crazy cultist.
Yeah.
I wrote a book that
Yeah.
has Michelle knows nothing or whatever.
Yeah. She ain't no shit. Or however it was worded.
It was definitely she ain't no shit.
And so I like that he's suddenly like from East Texas. I don't understand why.
He
Yeah.
ain't no shit.
But yeah, this kind of confrontation is Aguilar trying to flex his cynical muscles, right? His non-believer muscles, and it's like, listen, if you are truly Brother Darkness or whatever they said his
Oh my God, that's
nickname
right.
was.
Brother.
He's like, I don't go by Brother Darkness anymore. Okay.
Please.
Good call. But good call, Adrian.
Brother Darkness is my father.
That's my old handle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Brother Darkness Jr. So he Oh, hello. We have cat sighting.
Hi,
Robert, sweetheart.
Hi, Robert. You sweet
Sweet
nugget.
baby.
Somebody's hungry.
You should get him like little headphones so he can pretend like he's podcasting.
Yeah, get him a little microphone.
Oh my
Oh, so cute.
You gotta.
So, but Aguilar quickly finds out he might be a witch because Aguilar suddenly chokes, lurches forward, and he's got blood coming out of every facial orifice.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now, why did that happen?
That was Marcato.
I
Yeah.
think it's
He
just
did that?
Marcato
Yeah.
being like,
Yeah,
you
he's
want
a
me to
witch. He's
show
like-
you?
he's like-
He made the
Yeah.
sign, and he's like,
Okay, that's
like-
see. I was like, because when he pointed, I was like, is he just pointing like, "Hey, buddy, your nose is bleeding," or is
that's
he
what you think.
okay?
Well,
he's
But then
like,
later,
Yes.
But then later,
Mhm.
when
Natalia.
Natalia is being chased by Beardy Warlock,
yeah,
he does the same thing that makes her nose bleed.
yeah.
So like they have these like,
They have powers.
yeah, they have powers to manipulate people into doing what they want.
It's
Okay.
not Scarlet
bleeding-
Witch level.
No,
Sure.
Mild powers.
Yeah.
but you know,
You will
if
bleed
start
from your
bleeding out
eyes.
of your face.
Sure,
Yeah.
You might think twice about calling somebody out.
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. So now Aguilar actually even mentions the satanic panic, that this is all just, we're all just up in arms over a thing because it's too easy to get people riled up. And then it's so interesting because he is on the right track in the sense that, like Maria, he understands how the world works from a very non-supernatural way. He
Right.
understands that conspiracies and moral panics are what fuel tyranny. That's what fuels fascism. Is that you have to run commercials showing like 40-year-old men with mustaches dressed as girls in junior high locker rooms to say these men are invading our girls' sports. And I'm like, when have you cared about girls' sports? Name 3 women. I was going to say name 3 female athletes. Name 3 women.
Name 3 women,
Yeah.
Yeah.
please.
But that's
And it can't be your mom.
Or J.K. Rowling.
oh, you know what?
Or
It can be your mom. I will give you your mom. I want 3 women.
Okay.
We'll give you
okay.
your mom.
What's your mother's first name, actually, is a question I'd be curious if a lot of men could pass. So, but he's just not existing in, he doesn't, like Maria, he doesn't believe what he's seeing because why would you? You know, you're a skeptic, you're a journalist, you're a sociologist. But he,
What
we
about
now
his
know
wife?
for real.
What about
yes.
his wife? So this is like a little monkey wrench that Mercado throws in. He's like, so where'd you get these testimonies? From your wife, who is in an institution, who talks crazy shit because she's in a trance all the time? And he's like, maybe.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it's like, is your wife actually talking crazy shit, or is she telling the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just sounds crazy because
Right.
I think this is where like
Yeah,
the
they've
idea of
told
like,
you to think it's crazy.
yes,
Yeah.
in a crazy world, the truth sounds insane.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which again, going back to this, the fascism of, like looking into the history of Argentina in the 70s, and it's like, no,
Into the
people just
80s
into the
too.
80s, it's just like, nope, people disappeared. Stop asking about it. Your kids don't
Yeah.
exist anymore.
Yeah.
You should just move on. That sounds crazy. But
Mm.
if ever enough people do that,
Yeah.
It's
you
true.
know,
Yep. Finally, we're just left with only Marcato left
I
in the
know.
studio. I want to add that all between these they go to commercial breaks, and the one ad is always Von Merken's ads for the
Children.
Las
Here's the
Islas
f-
Malvinas.
like
A
what
las
is it for?
Islas
Yeah.
Malvinas. Yeah.
oh my
Mhm.
God.
Mhm.
Yes.
I perked up
Oh,
and
yeah.
I have not had time to rally and actually go read up on the Falkland Islands shit, because
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
got to be several thick books worth of material about
Sure.
whatever the shit is going on. But I love that they bring up the
Totally.
fucking Malvinas, they bring up the Falkland
Yeah.
Islands,
Mm-hmm.
and it's shown as like cute little penguins running down the shore. What a vacation
I know.
destination!
Yeah.
Look
Like,
at this nice
oh,
church.
that's so loaded,
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is where they say children are our energy source
Yeah.
during these like commercial breaks. But it looks so like idyllic and innocent and like, come here. I
Yeah.
honestly, this whole part, I'm just like, es que no sé. I'm just not sure about
Yeah.
this.
Totally.
I'm not sure.
Is the idea here that when they say children are our energy source, that it's conveyed in a way that if you're just a TV viewer watching this, you're like, oh, the children are what give us our life. The children are what give us our,
Right.
and metaphorically, they
It's
are
very-
our energy.
the-
They are
the
the
children
future.
are our future. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Yes.
very much
Mhm.
that vibe, but it feels so ominous and culty, like
Uh-huh.
the children are our
yeah.
future
Yeah.
kind of thing, and you're just
Yeah.
like,
It especially feels ominous and culty because literally throughout the film you hear el futuro se acabó, which
Yeah.
means the future,
the future is
is
over.
over.
Uh-huh.
That's
So it's
not a
like
great slogan, you
kids.
guys. From a PR point of view,
Yeah.
I think we need to spitball a couple different.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's a tough one.
Yeah.
I was trying to read "The future is over" as a realistic slogan that anyone would use, and I wasn't sure if it was something about an idiom that I didn't know, that if it was, because I was framing this through the eyes of fascism, right? And one of the key components of fascism is good old days syndrome, make America great again. The idea that we have to go back to the way it always was, because we used to be great and we have to be great again. So the future, actually, the fascism, the future is antithetical, right? It's only the
Sure.
past that we want to live in. We want to live in a time when we were kicking German ass in World War
Yeah.
II or whatever.
Right.
And so, yeah, you want to live in the good old. So I wasn't sure if "The future is over" would read differently if I was from Argentina, but I wasn't sure how
Well,
that worked.
I totally think you're right about that. That like some things, because none of us here are from Argentina, so like even the Islas Malvinas thing, I'm sure that would probably speak volumes to a person from Argentina that we just can't quite grasp.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
will say about like El futuro se acabó. Watching this movie in 2025, 2 years after I initially saw it, it is so fucking timely.
Yeah.
This film. And like
Yeah.
like 2 years ago, I could never imagine a political party having their, not that I don't, like having a slogan be "the future is over," but now I can, because it's like it's a fear tactic, and it's more like the future doesn't exist because we focus, like you said, on what we have already had, or we even go back to it,
Yeah.
Right.
which is terrifying.
It's
I-
super
It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
I think I have a different take.
Please.
Okay.
Because the von Merkins are sort of this. Okay, so we've got the Belasco faction and the von Merkin faction, and they're at odds, right? The Van Merkins are putting this ad on television that can't say our political opponents are witches. You should rise up and dethrone the president. But they've kind of like included this sort of subliminal messaging, which is when Federici is like, I have this phrase stuck in my head. I don't even know where I heard it. Like they're putting it into the ether
Oh, yeah.
that the children are being disappeared.
Okay.
The children are the future. That like look at this, your beautiful children. That's like they're putting it in plain sight without saying exactly what's happening because it would sound like nonsense.
Right.
Sure.
Because we don't live in a world anymore where if TV news says a thing out loud, that we can take it seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there is really no such thing as journalism on a mass scale.
Yeah.
There are still journalists, but I was on a flight home recently, and the man in front of me was watching fucking Fox News the whole way, and I just saw chyron after chyron of crazy bullshit.
Oof.
And it's just like in 4 words you can just put, without even having volume, I know exactly what they're saying, and you put those messages out into the world. That it's like,
and it's short, and it's bumper sticker, and it's something easily remembered, and that the simplest of humans can repeat.
yes,
Yeah.
and you can just put out that like vaccines are killing our children or whatever, and you're like, that's just it just
They're like, I heard it somewhere.
infiltrates.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it must be true. I've heard if you hear it enough times. And it also goes to the idea of like advertising in the 80s going to that next level, the age of cable television of like, Coke is the real thing. Like all these kind of the
Right.
A second golden age of advertising of like, people are like, I don't know why I want these things, but this sort of like consumerism that advertising brought to television.
Well, it's brainwashing, and it's like if you really think of it in terms of this film, like early in the movie when Federici's talking to whoever this other fucking dude is, who he gets the box from, he's like, Velasco will not win. There's no way he could win his next reelection, but we know he will. It's like we literally just lived through it. Here in the States.
Yeah.
And so there's something about like the power of that subliminal messaging, which you could equate it to witchcraft.
Yeah.
If you think about it,
spell.
like hallucination, brainwashing. We're putting this in your head without you even knowing it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It's all the talk about psyops and like all this sort of stuff online of like, we've all, like all this business. It's out there.
Yeah.
It is. It's
it is
very
out there.
powerful.
Yeah.
Scary.
Well, one thing that this show really nails is the call-in show, which will never go away. Will always be the most incredible thing about media. Is when you can have callers on the line. It is a white knuckle ride, and Mariana calls into 60 minutes before midnight, and I stood up and slow clapped Mariana for the greatest call ever.
Hey, Mercado, I have a question for you.
It's so funny.
Hey guys, a long time listener, first time caller.
Calling from Sandusky, Ohio.
Absolutely. And that host says, by the way, we're fucking your daughter in every fucking hole that she has. And you're like,
Like, somebody hit the switchboard.
yeah, that was crazy. That's cuckoo.
Jarring.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was, I think, Aaron McKeown and I were talking backstage about people doing call-ins, and way back, like in the late 90s, OJ Simpson showed up on a Dallas-only like community broadcast feed with, I cannot remember her name, but she was a former sports talk show host in the 90s, Dana something. Anyways, she did like a 2-hour long interview on television and took calls with him. You can find some YouTube clips of this, but it's like the callers were especially, you know, chef's kiss, and one of them was like, "Oh, hey, Juice. Hey, big fan, big fan." He's like, "Oh, thanks, man." He was like, "Say, my kid and I were talking. Do you think it was like a bigger feat to break 2,000 yards rushing or to slash two necks in one night?" And then and O.J. Simpson is like, "Well, I'm having a hard time hearing you, bud. I can't quite." And that's immediately what I thought about that caller.
Wow.
Yeah.
When Mariana called
Gagged.
in, because she does the friendly thing. It's such a great crank call move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and then Mercado's reaction is even more kind of wild and confounding because he's like cool as a cucumber. He's like, "Oh, that wasn't even a person. That was a demon. They're trying to get to me." This happens a lot.
But like,
Yeah, that's what they do.
You know, I just shrug it off at this point.
I love the thought of a demon being like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, for real. I'm gonna get him with this
I'm
one.
gonna get him good."
Oh, you told him. You told him.
But like,
Oh my god.
so, but was it a demon?
Well, that's
And-
interesting. I'm thinking that now because then I'm like, does he say demon or does the
He says
the
not
reporter
human is what I wrote
suggest
down.
it?
Yeah.
Because I think the
Yeah,
reporter is the one who was like, what, un demonio? I don't know that Marcato actually. I'd have to rewatch the fucking movie for the fourth time
For
at
the
this
third time.
point. But like, I'm interesting. I'm not sure of who actually says what it is, but he does. Marcato does say it's like another being. Or
He
something.
says it was not human. Was the translation?
Not
on the
human,
screen. Yeah,
yes.
he was.
But
it was-
what's
Yeah.
fascinating to me is like they bring up his daughter, and like this whole
Yeah.
time we're like, because Maria is like no tiene hijos, like we've gone down the checklist of people with children. So is Marcato aware of his daughter this whole entire time, and or is this like are we meant to be on Marcato's side? Like this whole movie, I genuinely was like, are you bad or are you good? Like, unfortunately, my black and whiteness of everything, especially with villainry, I need to know who I should be rooting for. And like, because we never see Velasco, and because it's all talked about him and like the shit he's done, the whole time I'm like, but Mercato is here simply to prove his association with Velasco means Velasco is a witch, but he's not a villain. Yes?
No, I don't think I think he's actually one of our our protagonists.
Okay.
Like, he's the one who has if he can say the magic word,
right.
it will liberate us from this little pocket universe. And I think either one of two things, maybe. He knows he has a daughter. He just can't get to her.
Yeah.
He's living in
She's
the
at
year
the farms.
No, she's in the year 2020 and he's stuck in 1987 and he has no way to contact her.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that too, that like he's aware. I don't know how he became aware, but before when he's talking to one of the other talking heads, he's like, things will come back to you. Don't you remember her eyes or like whatever? And so I think that is what happened to Marcato. And also, you know, since we've already told like he's going to talk to his daughter, when he talks to her, it's not like, Hija, I've missed you.
Yeah.
It's very like, girl, I
Go
need
to
you to do this.
office and get my book or whatever.
It's like literally he saw her this morning and was like, bye, I'll see you later. But there's a familiarity where like, first of all, time is of the essence, like where the clock will literally be like, you know, counting down.
Right.
But it doesn't feel surprised.
Yes.
His like being able to talk to her.
I think this movie really keys in on a couple of things that are important for humanity. One is the mind-altering drug experience, right? Like the heightened consciousness, whether you get that through Tannis root, ayahuasca, whatever DMT release mechanism or something, but but ultimately there needs to be a higher consciousness, a higher level of awareness, and maybe you just get that through meditation and therapy. But I think it is saying there is something key there too. Write things down. Because the thing they can't take it's a notebook. There's Alfredo even makes a point about how rigid they are at 60 minutes before midnight of all journalists have to note everything. They write everything down meticulously, write everything down. And that is what Marcato did too, which is he wrote things down, which is how he knows he has a daughter. He's aware of it, I think, academically, factually, but
not memory.
He's like, I can't remember her, but I know she exists somewhere.
And if I can merge these things, if I can get her to help, and she probably knows too, because he's probably given her, and she may not remember her father, but she knows she has one. But if we can just meld these
she probably
together,
saw him disappear into who knows where,
and may not remember. But I think write things down is one of the key points of this movie.
So going with the writing things down thing, the word that is meant to save us, does he not know that word either? And that's why he also needs his daughter, because that's why he's like, okay, you gotta go to the left in your house and pull out this book and pull out the loose leaf of paper, what's written there. And that's the word that we're gonna be saved if he says it out loud on TV so everyone can hear.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the safe word. It's like the get me the fuck out of here word.
Okay.
That he doesn't know because he's stuck in the world.
Okay.
Yes.
He's like, but he knew magic, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna write this down. I think it's really interesting. So I know we're getting to the end of the film, but this idea of like turn on your TVs, turn them on as loud as you can. It will liberate everyone, but everyone doesn't make it out.
No, only the people in the studio heard the word.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Tanis route process here. Let's jump back over to our safe house, wherein Abel is trying to get everyone to do the Tanis route challenge.
Yeah.
Love it.
But they've included Von Merkens has included even like the recipe, the instructions for taking the Tanis route, and that we're going to. It's basically like a walkthrough of a guided meditation sort of thing that Abel is already on the Tanis route. Like this dude's already high as fuck. He's already been seeing shit in the hallway.
Yeah.
Things like that. So the other three, Maria has also finally come to the conclusion that I have no other option. If it fails, if it fails, we're down to that last option. Yeah. Because that's just where we're at. So part of this Tanis ritual is this kind of like guided sleep meditation thing. And I love this because we get Lucio, Maria, and Jorge or Federici all do the blindfold and go through this process. So we start with Lucio, who immediately goes into, he can see through his blindfold across the table, but that quickly turns into just a red light appearing in the distance and growing and growing and growing. And it's like, take me out!
And his face turns into a skull.
I was like, I'm going to get a seizure.
And a dagger, and a ceremonial dagger.
Yeah.
Just goes right through his face.
And it's all like animated style. Like it's graphically really disturbing, but
very
beautiful.
Cool looking. Yeah.
Strobe lights, trigger warnings for
yes,
lots of flashing lights on this one.
I was like, surgery. What is it? My God, Aileen, I'm gonna have a seizure. So he turns to ash.
Yeah,
he did. Yep, he turns to
dust.
I
think he turns, and interesting because in that like memory thing we heard, I tasted dirt or earth or something in my mouth.
I was on fire.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is this is the death process, I believe.
Yeah. This isn't a dream he had. It was an understanding of the other dimension that he had. It was these dimensions crossing over, and you could see your own future, I suppose.
And whether that means he's actually dead or he's been taken to another pocket dimension, I guess is like up to you.
We'll never know.
Yeah. But there's definitely like ash in the shape of human hands
Yeah,
where he
on the
was sitting.
Like where he was.
in
arm
our dimension, he's gone.
Yeah.
gone. Okay.
Maria, she's just having a Camel Blue, sitting there having a nice time.
I love this transition from the square format to the long
Yes,
format.
Yes.
it was very cool.
Because you don't like, I love it when filmmakers kind of remind you you're watching a movie and they've been fucking with your minds the whole time.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
They're like, oh, you thought this was the screen? Oh, remember this is the screen.
yeah.
Yes.
Ha ha ha.
Ho ho ho. Now this moment with Maria, this is where we meet the medium. Where
This
he's
is
like
Eduardo Alonso.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Who's the
Yeah.
person that nobody can remember. They're like,
Yes.
they're like, I made all the 60 minutes before midnight people write down notebooks, but we have a notebook from a dude that we didn't know.
That's
that
right.
we have
We don't have an
no
employee.
idea
Mhm.
of.
And that's
Eduardo
that
Alonso.
guy, the psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. Dude.
And
Jesus
he's the one
Christ.
who's like, okay, look, there's all these houses.
Mhm.
Mercado
I got this
can't get
address
into
for
them.
you.
Like
Mhm.
they've been psychically barred from these
Uh-huh.
houses. So we just need somebody who's not in the kingdom, this whole warlock factions to like go in there and get it.
Mhm.
Right. And that's where we discover the address.
Yep.
And that's
Where we send Natalia
to
to
go.
get the box.
Yes.
Yep.
To go get
Okay.
the package. Yep.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
Now I have a question about Abel.
mhm.
Okay.
Who-
Yes.
He just sees a giant tentacle coming out of a door
Yeah.
But then he's
thing.
wearing a weird like Wicker Man mask.
while wearing a Wicker Man mask.
hmm
And the demon is like, Brujo, warlock. But then when everybody kind of makes it out, Federici and Maria kind of are revived, right?
Mhm.
Maria's like,
They tried to kill me.
Abel killed Lucio, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that
Oh.
like was
Yeah.
Abel a double agent?
It's such a good question.
Or is he just not a good witch? Like what I'm saying, like, was he a double agent sent there by the people from the farms to kind of like fuck shit up? Or is he just not kind of psychically strong enough to withstand
All the
the
stuff.
forces that are at play?
I say get you a man who can do both.
Sure.
Be a double agent and a bad witch.
Yeah.
I think it's either or, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Like maybe he's always seemed on edge, and maybe he's
Yeah.
on edge because he didn't really remember, or because he knows what he has to do tonight. Because
Yeah.
he's the one that's like, you need to take the Tannis route. As soon as we start fucking taking the Tannis route, Lucio turns into Earth,
Yeah.
and
It's like stabby.
then Maria, who's a badass hoe, is like, you're not gonna fuck me up, and she
Yeah.
kills him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, could he be Manchurian Candidate kind of situation where
Yeah.
he's
He's like a sleeper cell. kind
Yeah.
of
yes,
thing.
Absolutely.
like a sleeper
Absolutely.
cell?
I
Yeah.
think that was my take on it, that he spent 5 months at the
Oh.
farms.
Got
They're like,
brainwashed.
oh,
They-
great.
They converted
yeah.
him.
You
Yeah,
kind
go
of
back
slowly
to 60
implant
minutes
that.
and
Right.
you remember nothing.
Especially if the tentacle is calling him a brujo,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
which very likely may be him imagining Maria saying "Vos sos un brujo, you're a brujo,"
Yeah.
as he's killing El
Right.
Lucio.
Yeah. But he
That
doesn't.
Tannis route, baby.
So I think he doesn't kill Lucio. Lucio is gone.
Mhm.
Okay.
like exploded.
He
yeah.
he disappears, right? And just turns to the dust. But it's his body, it's Abel's body we see on the floor. So when
Mhm.
when Federici comes out of his thing, he is seeing Abel's dead body on the floor, and Maria is all cut up and holding a knife, and she was like,
Yeah.
that motherfucker,
Yeah.
that motherfucker back there is not real." Like,
Totally. Okay. Oof.
but it's Jorge's vision, so it's Maria's vision that informs her that he's a fucking witch.
Mm.
Brujo gotta stab him.
Yeah.
In Jorge's flashback, he's like, "Oh, this is boring. Nothing's happening." But what he's having is the flashback that explains how Marcato was cast out of his whatever gang.
Coven.
Coven.
Order of the
Witch gang.
Phoenix.
the Dark Knights.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's right. And
The Kingdom of Darkness. Yeah.
And he made this deal with the journalist. You find me this thing, I will unmask Velasco live on national television. Give me the questions, and I will just confirm each one of them live on TV right before your big rally thing. And then this is also where we get from Eduardo Alonso, the man nobody remembers, except in these DMT dreams, that like, okay, we have this artifact in the secret base that here's the address you've got to give to Natalia. Hoy. Okay.
I love that the artifact is a fucking iPhone.
I know.
And yeah.
Because
It's
this is
so
so
good.
jarring when later she's like, because she's been using the payphone, she's like, hey, just checking in. I'm still on the corner.
Yeah.
And then later when she's like, I'm in the cab, and he's like, you're in the cab?
I love that so much.
It's so
You're in the
good.
cab.
Because
Yeah.
in 87, you would be like, what are you talking about?
How are you doing this?
But like, I must say, when I first saw this movie, I was like, wait, what's so fucking weird? Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
And it snuck up on me too. I didn't clock right away she's calling from the cab, and I even didn't clock right away when the iPhone comes out, only because I think a lot of times, especially in American filmmaking, if we're going to say this is a period piece, it's set in 1987, no Hollywood studio is going to allow you to make a movie in 1987 and not have people wearing jams and like, feathery bangs and listening
They
to
go too
Aha
hard.
and Tears
they
for
go
Fears.
so hard.
yeah.
And so this movie doesn't do that. It's very subtle that it's in 1987.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
especially because it's in black and white, and the 80s is usually so freaking colorful that you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Which is why a big thing with the phone too, with the iPhone is, which also I was like, what does this mean about Mercato? Is he takes that iPhone and he knows immediately what to do.
Yeah.
Because anybody else would be like, ¿Qué puta es esto? What? Like,
Handed me a shiny brick. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he's like, nope, beep, boop, 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 gonna call my girl and let
Face
her know.
ID.
Yeah, exactly. So what does that mean?
I think that because Marcato has been a brujo for so long, there is some sort of like, I mean, I'm literally just making this up, but to explain like the fact that he grabs that iPhone and knows exactly what to do, there is some sort of like interdimensional travel that he is capable of.
Yeah.
Which is why the daughter is not a surprise.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I think he has the power to do this.
He can remember stuff that other people
Yeah.
can't, which is why, like, a lot of the questions earlier in the evening, he's like, I can't answer that now. I'll answer that later.
Yes.
Is because he knows there's a blank. He knows something has been redacted. He just doesn't know what has been redacted.
Right.
Sure.
And it's like, in order to put it all together, even though there is this interdimensional travel component, I think when you go to when he goes to the different dimensions, there might be pieces that don't exist or like he has to forget. But he knows that there's some shit that's going to happen to all of people in this 87 dimension. El futuro se acabó.
Yeah.
So in order to make sure that that doesn't happen, he's like, we need to keep this as secret as possible from Kingdom Corporate. And that's why all these puzzle pieces are needed, like, secretly in order to, like, get to where we need to get.
Yeah.
Because also, and I think also, I think yes, Johnny, but also because Velasco is also a brujo, he probably knows, and they came from the same faction of brujeria or cult, or coven, that he knows all the processes to do this kind of stuff. So even more occult stuff needs to happen so that Velasco doesn't hear. I think
Absolutely.
the hardest part of this, I think, is the fact that we never hear or see actual Velasco, and that's really hard for my brain to like
Well,
that it's coming from him.
Yeah.
Along what you're saying, the word that we never hear, quote unquote, abracadabra,
Uh-huh.
that is information that I think has to be kept so secret from Velasco and the rest of Kingdom Corporate that like el Marcato cannot remember it in where we are. And he needs all of that to keep it secret in order to reveal it in these last 20 seconds.
And that's why he wrote it down and shoved it into a book, so that it would be like, everyone's going to look for secret information in a briefcase or a safe. But if I can remember which book on the shelf, just some random fiction novel from like 2017 or something, which I thought was an interesting point, that I was like, that book, that's a recent book. That's where I clocked it. It wasn't the cell phone. I was like, wait.
Wow. I didn't even catch it. Wow.
Yeah.
The Things We Lost in the Fire.
Things we lost in the fire. Yeah.
Oh, yes, we talked
We talked about it. Wow. Okay. And it's probably an extra safeguard for himself. Like, I what if I'm tortured? What if I'm grabbed? What if they read my mind? What if
my mind?
Any of that stuff.
Like it really does get into the double blind level of spy versus spy.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of like, you're my contact. I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am. How do you know I'm actually, you know, kind of, which is how underground has to operate in the face of like overwhelming political machinations.
Absolutely.
I'm currently watching the second season of Andor.
I'm thinking the same. I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
I have friends everywhere is the phrase that
I
they
have friends
say.
on every planet.
Yes, and it's just like this. Wow, I would be a political prisoner and killed immediately. They would be like, "Ma'am, please give us all your information," and they're gonna look at me funny and be like, "It was this guy. I'm sorry."
As an aside, because I never read Things We Lost in the Fire, it was just a familiar title to me, just because books, you just see it in a bookstore and you remember the thing. So I don't know if y'all looked this up or not, but the basically the log line of this book. So it is, it's a series of short stories is what it is, like I think interconnected. So international best-selling author Mariana Enriquez brings contemporary Argentina to vibrant life as a place where shocking inequality, violence, and corruption are the law of the land. So yeah, it's very interesting that it's like this very political
and it also has
fiction.
and it also has kind of an occult flavor to it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
fascinating.
perfect.
I think I remember reading from like Goodreads, like just like the what is it called? The
synopsis.
Like the log line. Yeah.
the log line scroll, whatever. And I was like, oh, it all means something. I can't really tell you what, but I'm sure it's important.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, so that was our Tannis root ritual that got two of these boys killed, and then we're left with Jorge and Maria still in the safe house.
Yeah.
Natalia on her walk to the address that she got from Jorge
from the DMT.
From the DMT dream. So she's being followed by Evil Beard. He's so gentle. Like he's like, Natalia, naughty ice.
Hey girl.
Yeah.
Well, he's trying to play I'm your contact.
Yeah.
Oh, the professor couldn't make a call.
Me.
I'm here instead. I'm totally with the revolution. But also I'm everywhere.
I'm everywhere. They step into my circle with a pentagon in it.
And they set up two things about her early on. One, she's very young, and we're not sure we can trust the young person to do this job.
She's a little inexperienced,
And two, they don't say gun, but they're like, you have the thing. Do you know how to use it? If I have to, I do know how to use it. Is basically it. And so she is being. Listen, I think a young woman has pretty good skills to know when some man following her and talking to her on the street is full of shit. And she finally is like, he makes her nose start bleeding, and she's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Turns around and 57 Magnum for whatever. Seven
I gotta
Magnum
say,
Bam.
I
guy.
love a horror movie. No warning shots.
Yeah, she knows.
Just-
Nothing. No.
No,
Fuck this
just-
guy.
Yeah.
Bam.
Bam. I
Get
loved
out of
it.
here. I'm
Good
trying
girl.
to I'm trying to
And-
get to someplace.
Yeah.
I
And
got
then
shit to
immediately
do.
calls the safe house and is like, okay, what's the information?
Please tell me you have this address. I just fucking
I just
shot
killed
a
somebody
guy.
on the street. Yeah.
But he, back at the safe house, Jorge is now confirming with Maria that the numbers of kids are wrong, and so this is kind of like settling in. Like, you see what we've been doing, right? You understand why we write this shit down, why I'm going through these numbers, and I think this helps her understand that as well. Natalia's got to get her ass to the studio because there's less than 10 minutes before that show goes off the air.
And it's already on like the test pattern because of, the powers that be have cast some spell to like remove it from the air.
Yeah.
They finally get on for like the last 6 minutes.
Because there was also like some technical difficulties after my dude's face exploded. They had to send him to the hospital, all kinds of shit.
Well,
Yeah.
well, Mercado is going to reveal something. He's like, I have to tell the truth, and that is, boom. And then
Yeah,
That's brujeria right there. I was like, those outside forces are attacking
Velasco
him,
is out
stopping
there
him.
being like,
Yeah.
Yep.
where's
Yeah.
my eye of Newt?
yes.
Yeah.
And so Natalia's in her cab talking on her iPhone 13, wherever we were in 2020, and trying to get there. I love that Alfredo's like, honestly, I just came back on the air to say we fucked it up. Sorry, you guys. It's not going to happen
That's it.
Yeah.
because they don't have the thing yet.
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, this is where Marcato, like, as Natalia shows up with the item, Marcato is like, he's focused on this cell phone. He already knows the questions Alfredo's going to ask. He's like, ask me the fucking questions. He's like, great. Did you know this? Did Velasco know this? Did the so-and-so do this? Yep. And the whole time he's trying to get his daughter on the phone. But he does say it's going to get worse out there. Magus, 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 who's kind of like the unseen leader of the coven. Magus is going to seal a new deal and everything will start over. He says our entire existence will be reduced to a lifeless shell, but we are still alive, which I found really fascinating.
Horrible.
I mean, it's like a dimension of hell.
Yeah.
If you think, if it's approaching hell.
Right.
If you think of it in like that really occulty, dark way, and like literally like seeing red, seeing these horrible demonic creatures slowly encroaching
Appearing.
in this space, tentacles. It's like hell it's getting hotter.
Yeah.
This is your own hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I also took it as this sort of the political metaphor of like, we're now living under this dictator for another cycle of
40
years
Yeah.
in which
Oh,
everything
God.
appears normal. But if you
Hell.
start picking at the cracks,
It's
you're like,
hell.
is this even real?
Yeah.
I'm alive, but it doesn't
Wow.
feel real.
Yes.
Scary. Wow.
Yeah. But he gets his daughter on the phone. Hey, buddy, go up into my library and go find things we lost in the fire and page whatever. There's a bookmark, and written on that bookmark is it's the magic word, and you got to tell me what that magic word is. Love a dueling dialogue scene. It's so good. And the fact that he's involved in both dialogues, it's impressive.
It's so funny how he's like, okay, you're gonna go upstairs, you're gonna do this, yes, and then you're gonna do this and whatever. Sure, like
Whatever you say.
Yeah, Alfredo was like, is it true that Velasco was your witchcraft partner? And he's like, yeah, it is. Yeah,
think we all know
love
that, right?
Just to give another shout out to Germán Baudino, this man is so fucking good. And like every time we've seen him in so many movies so far from Argentina or I guess like Uruguay, and every time I see him, I'm like, give this man work.
Yeah.
More people should know this dude's work. He is so
Make him
goddamn
work.
good.
He is so
Well, and
good.
it's because he's seen like what you were talking about Aileen in the beginning of like, okay, is he a bad guy? Is he a good? Like, you got to let me know. He seems so menacing.
He plays
Throughout
it well.
4/5 of this movie, and then as soon as he gets that cell phone, you see
like humanity.
right.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, oh, he's actually kind of our superhero for the good team
We're hoping.
in this
Yeah.
the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Damn.
But he basically, as Alfredo is trying to get just the journalistic confirmation that our president is a knucklehead is essentially where he's at. And I love how above it Mercado is. Like, Mercado is humoring him, but
Yeah.
ultimately it's like, do you want answers to whether or not our president kind of sucks dicks? Then honestly, I could give you that, but you know what's cooler? $1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool?
Yeah.
Like a world in color.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
living inside a fake dimension in which none of this bullshit really matters.
Yeah.
And it's actually 80 or 40 years later.
Yeah. He says, I want you to raise the volume on your TV till you can hear it from outside. He says, I regret everything that I did. So here you go, world. Good. And then it just goes to static.
I saw an interesting
Fuck.
on like one of the Reddit conversations about this movie. They said that the word he's about to say is color. Is the magic word.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know if I was like, I don't know if you I heard the
What is color in Spanish?
Color.
Color.
But
because you
it
hear
sounded
kind
to
of a
me like
like
it
a
sounded like Cali, something like that.
yeah.
What was Aileen? Yeah, but
It sounded like
interesting.
Cali something to me
Cali,
too.
and then it cut off.
I wrote
Uchis.
Interesting.
I wrote Ka. I wrote KAH
Yeah.
on my paper.
Yeah,
So it
color.
wouldn't be color.
Mhm.
No.
It was
Okay.
Ka.
Okay.
It would be that if you were like American, I guess.
Yeah.
Color.
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 Cali.
Color.
Yeah, just kind of flatten all those vowels.
Yeah.
But that
Now,
brought
okay.
Okay, yes.
Was that did he do it? I think this was my same question, and when we did our episode, I
Well-
was like, was there success in this?
I think
No.
one
Many
of
people made it
you,
out.
one of you, I don't remember which one of you guys, you explained something to me literally now that I did not get until today. The people in the studio did make it out.
They-
But
yeah.
everybody else in
They go into
our
color.
dimension in 87, I don't think they did.
Well,
No.
okay, so you've got Federici and Maria. Maria's got tears running
Still
down
in
her
black and
face.
white.
Yeah.
And they hear outside the sound of gunshots,
Yes.
which means all those people, all the sort of the people that are rising up against the president are probably being killed in the streets.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah. She's
interesting.
staying in hell world
Yep.
of tyranny and
Federici doesn't
disgust.
make it. Yep.
The
And
people
it's like,
in the studio got Pleasantville.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting too, because like, you don't really see like 80s until you see, for me, it was when you see Natalia in color and you see her frosted lips.
Yes.
Frosty,
Uh-huh.
frosty.
Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
lipstick. And the announcer is like, lo puedes ver, or like something like that. He's like, can you see it? Can you
Yeah.
see it? And he sees
Yeah.
the color, but it looks,
But it's static.
it's like
Psychedelic.
it's like
Yeah.
he can't even, it's like overwhelming to him or something.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I always thought that was the gunshot sound. I always
fireworks?
thought of that. I thought it was the medianochazo protest
Uh-huh.
was starting, and it was like fireworks and people were starting.
Oh, like celebration.
I never
I didn't
was like,
think about it as
oh.
shots either.
But I think it could be. But either way, I think that Maria and Federici, they're stuck here now.
Yeah.
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 The majority of people, because they didn't get the
They
magic
didn't hear
word,
it, so they're
Yeah.
the
they're
majority of
stuck
people
there.
are stuck.
Now,
Whether
did
it's-
Velasco stop that word being said?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think they
He-
got that thing shut down.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said we will not have this.
Hex, broken.
Yeah.
So technically, so basically, not a success.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
I think, like,
that was my take
the
on it.
5 people in the TV studio made it out okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone else doomed to live in this shitty tyranny apartment,
Okay.
black and white apartment for the next 20
This
years.
tyranny apartment. Yeah.
Damn.
I didn't catch this live, but I always read the Wikipedia summary afterwards just to help clarify, and this was one I really had to read to
Absolutely.
clarify.
Line
But
by
it-
line. Yeah.
It says at the end, it says Marcato, the film then changes to color. Marcato has disappeared, and a shocked Alfredo asks if anyone heard the word. Meaning, like, which I assume is, I didn't remember him asking that, but I guess the idea is, wait, what did he say? Like, it's almost like the word was said and then disappeared from our thoughts.
Sure.
Kind of how spells work in like a D&D sort of way.
Yeah.
Like you have to
Sure.
rememorize the spell to use it again.
I totally read that too, just because I was like, I need more clarity. I honestly thought the Wikipedia got it wrong. They just got the translation wrong, because I was like, all I heard him say was like "lo pueden ver." I'm pretty sure that's what he's saying.
No, he also says,
does he say "que
Que
dijo"?
dijo. Que dijo.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
then
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's right. Then it means it was just
Wiped
like
from
a
their
spell.
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Wow. Wow.
I'm
Fascinating.
less confused.
Uh-huh.
I have way more clarity, but I'm still there are still slight
Well, I think
situations.
the thing about this, we said this in our episode, Aileen. The thing about this movie that I think Christian Ponce and everybody that put this movie together, I really think they're like, yes, you're right, and also that is right. Like it really is just like all of these things are possible, and if you look for like the actual like what happened, you're gonna drive yourself fucking crazy.
Yeah,
like, I think like all possibilities are like, yeah, that could absolutely be it.
And I think the sounds outside at the rally, to Cecil's point, I had the same read, which was like, oh, that's just fucking gunfire. But to hear y'all say it, also, it could just be the noises of everything getting started. And either way, in terms of the storytelling, you don't feel better about their world. Because you know that...
Not at all.
Best case scenario, they're not getting gunned down in the street. They're just doing an ineffectual fucking rally that won't go anywhere because they live in a world controlled by fucking fascist witches. Yeah.
Feels timely.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank God this happens in other countries.
I can't hear anyone right now, but I think it's because someone was calling me and my phone is freaking out. Please give me a brief moment very quickly to figure out
how to get your sound back.
Undo some things. Guys, I'm so sorry.
You could just start screaming into the microphone.
Oh, I did it. It worked.
You got it?
Oh, that was easy.
Okay, great.
I had to restart my Bluetooth. Ugh, my people calling me. Anyways, please continue.
Well, we're at the end and everything makes sense. Shall we rate this movie, y'all?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so if you're horror movie averse, how approachable is History of the Occult? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all approachable, 10 being very approachable. I mean, I'm going to give History of the Occult, like, I'm going to say 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, like red lights under paint chips, right? I think this is way more journalistic, neo-noir journalistic thriller with some witchy vibes to it. But it's not bloody. It's not gory. The jump scares are creepy. There are these demons that kind of are faces. There's a moment where Abel looks at the TV and there's just demon looking right at him on the TV screen. So it's unsettling in that way. But I will also say that, like, I think it's just like a tightly wound thriller more than anything.
It's
content
all the
warnings.
President's Men.
Yeah.
It's all the,
but
Totally.
with like the sensibility of Primer, like just a script that is intentionally needing to keep you a little bit dizzy. So content warnings, jump scares, the creepy imageries, and some creepy sounds in this too. And obviously the one scene with the flashing lights is a little intense if you have a sensitivity. So that's that. To speak nothing of approachability, Cecil, how do you rate this as a horror film?
As a horror film, this is a pretty good one. It, as you said, it's not, the majority of it's not scary. There's very little scariness lightly peppered throughout. It's more the like ramifications of the social situations that, like, the more you dig, the more you're like, oh fuck, how real was this? That's a little scarier than seeing a creepy multi-faced demon person. So for that reason, I would say 6 out of 10 1970s phone booths in a Carmen Sandiego trench coat.
Love that.
Jonny, Aileen, do you have anything you would like to rate this movie on? Best prank callers of all time? I don't know.
Sure. Jonny, you go.
I always forget. Is 1 approachable, 10 is unapproachable?
One is
Remind me.
unapproachable. One is like hostile
Oh,
sequel. 10 is
Trauma.
over the garden wall. Yeah.
Oh, my
I
favorite.
give this an 8 out of 10 in terms of, I think like anybody could watch this, even
Yeah.
like totally horror averse could watch, a person could watch this. And I think this is a really good fucking movie. The more I watch it, the more I like it. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, it's just really interesting world building. It's supposed to be Buenos Aires, but I'm like, that's not fucking Buenos Aires. That's where are they? It's just,
Where are you?
It's so
Yeah.
interesting. And I agree, with what Cecil said, that it's just like, especially now, considering like where these people might be stuck and the political environment that they live in makes them so helpless, and it makes me feel very helpless as well. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Natalia's bangs and chiseled beard. There we
Great.
go. Aileen.
For me, I would say I would even go 8.5.
Yeah.
Like to me, the spooks are very, very light. If anything, my brain was like, I'm too confused to be scared right now. So I would say 8.5 Tannis root trips.
Yeah.
But also just reiterating what everybody says, I don't it's not the kind of confusion that will keep me away. Like, if anything, I'm like, please explain it more to me. Give me 5 more minutes of explanation just so that my noodle can get it. So yeah, 8.5 Tannis root trips for me.
Well, we have been on quite a run lately with films that won't let us escape the world in which we live, having just done The Dead Zone, Sinners, and History of the Occult to remind us of what kind of fucked up place we live in.
Yeah.
So maybe we can break that streak or just keep it going. Let's figure out what movie we are going to watch next. Cecil has a scare die. I have a style die. We will roll those up and see what movie matches those two things. Cecil, your scare, if you roll a 1, our scare is end of the world. 2, bad mom or bad dad. 3, a cryptid. 4, wild card, whatever scare. 5, aliens. Or 6, just existential scare.
This is so
At the
fun.
5.
This is my favorite part.
Oh, we got an alien.
It's an alien.
Okay, so we got to match up your alien scare with the style I roll. If I roll a 1, it's got to be a movie in black and white. Didn't know we were getting into a black and white film this week.
I know.
Well,
2, it's got to have a title that is 5 words or more.
ooh.
Which is either art house or schlock house. That's all. There's no 1-star
no
and
in
5-star
between.
movies in this list.
Totally.
3, it's got to be a movie for the squeamish, like something 9 or 10 on our approachability scale, like something
Love
very
that.
easy. 4, a movie from the 2020s. 5, horror homework, essential horror viewing only for this category.
Okay.
Or 6, Asian horror. So let's see what we got here. Flip
Whoa.
it back up. I have got a 2, 5 plus words.
Oh, here we go.
And an alien movie. Now, subtitles count. A's
Okay.
and thes count.
Oh, absolutely.
Numbers
Okay.
count.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're improving your quality once you start putting the numbers and subtitles in, but let's see what we have. Jonny, Aileen, please think of some thoughts here that you might have.
5 plus words.
Has to be 5 or more words. So, for instance,
Damn.
here are the first ones we put on there. A Quiet Place Part 2.
Okay.
A Quiet Place Day 1.
Yeah.
The Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Maybe not
That's what I was
horror.
Counting.
There's some
but
intense
alien.
moments, but
Yeah,
yeah.
intense. Here's one that's kind of horror or sci-fi homework, but The Thing from Another World, which is what The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing was
Oh,
based
sure.
on.
Yeah. The OG.
And then here's where we get into the art house 5-star movies. I Married a Monster from Outer Space, which you may not know from the title, so let me read the synopsis. I'm just kidding. We're not reading the synopsis. And then Goke, Goke, Body Snatcher from Hell,
Yep.
Wow.
which I bet is about a body snatcher
From
From
hell.
named
Yes.
Goke.
Japanese,
Goke, then.
1968. Survivors of a plane crash contend with a blob-like alien that turns them into bloodthirsty predators.
Love that.
Cool.
Sounds
It is
fun.
literally the only Asian alien movie that I could find. No, there's a couple that
Really?
because
Oh.
Alien and Asian horror, but I was like, oh, this has got to go on multiple sides of this
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Alien and Asian horror was a little tough. They don't have a lot of horror movies in East Asia for here's Space Invaders sort
Fascinating.
of stuff.
And actually, there's one really good one, or one supposedly like everybody's like, oh, this one called Save the Green Planet, but it's
Yes.
like hard
not
to find.
available. Yeah,
Oh.
for
Yeah.
streaming.
Mhm.
Okay, let's look at we are at Random Horror 9 on Letterboxd, and we keep lists on our Letterboxd account, which shows all the possible die roll matchups. So a bunch of people threw in some suggestions for us. Cecil, you want to tell me what people had to say?
Monstrum recommends No One Will Save You from 2023.
Oh, I saw that. That's a fun one.
Yeah, okay.
Traumatized lonely woman must face down extraterrestrial home invaders. Uh-oh.
Nice.
Squin, oh my gosh, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, sure.
Never heard of it.
This is
it's
Ed Wood, right?
kind of considered the worst film
Oh.
ever made.
Amazing.
Yeah. Let's see here. Farce Majeure recommends The Color Out of Space.
Okay, yeah.
But here's the thing. I didn't know if it was Color Out of Space or The Color Out of Space. So I didn't put that one on my list.
The problem is if they're referencing the Nick Cage one, which is Color Out of Space. It is only
Right.
4 words.
Mm.
Yes,
So
that's what I thought.
DQ.
So
yeah, sadly.
Damn.
Sorry, Nick Cage.
Racklol
Okay.
recommends The Return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh shit.
Okay, damn.
I didn't know they made a sequel. But,
Neither
either.
did
but
I.
thank you,
Wow.
Racklol.
In 3D.
Oh,
in
shit.
3D. Oh my God. How could we forget?
Hilarious.
King and Commodore recommends Earth versus the Flying Saucers from 1956.
Uh-huh.
Exactly what you sound like. It happens, I think. Half Price Horror recommends The Last Days on Mars from 2013. Aliens are microbes, first extraterrestrial life ever discovered, but man, do we wish we never found them in this sci-fi zombie movie. They say it's fun, tense, and creepy.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, Aetherios, they bring us The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals.
I've seen this
I've-
come up before. Have you seen it?
I've seen this. I've seen clips of it because it's by Star Kid, which is like a internet famous like musical theater group.
Okay.
And Dead Meat covered their production on their YouTube channel, and I watched that, and it's really fun and goofy. But a musical and hilarious.
Okay.
Just the last 4 line or the last 4 or 5 words, show tune singing pod people.
Amazing.
Chuck I recommends The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra from 2000. Oh my God. Like, I love these 5-word titles. They all like seem to have exclamation points after them.
Yeah.
Bad scientist and his wife, a mad scientist, a skeleton, 2 aliens, and their escape pet are all searching for the elusive element atmospherium. And then I think My Cat Loves Horror brings up the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, damn.
Whoa, of course.
Oh,
Thank you for absolutely calling out our blind side on that one.
Yeah, that's so
I
stupid.
can't believe you guys haven't done that.
Mm-mm.
Might be
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
That's
And we have a
so
lot of
interesting.
+1s from It Came from Outer Space, The Color of Space, a couple of Close Encounters, and a couple of quiet ones in there too.
Yeah. The ones that we put on our list, Cecil, like I wasn't really strongly moved by any of them. Like Quiet Place, Day One,
Mhm.
Part Two, Cabin in the
Fine.
Woods. Those are all
Sure.
fine. I'm fine with those movies.
You're
Wouldn't
like,
mind
what if
talking
we
about them.
live in a world where aliens can hear things
Yeah.
really good?
Really,
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, which is that's why I'm so careful about trying to get mouth sounds out of our podcast. And yeah, I don't want those aliens hearing.
Don't let them
me
get
smacking.
us.
Yep. I think the one on our list that I kind of was interested in, just from a horror homework perspective, is The Thing from Another World.
Right.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
I think it would be
I've
an
never
important
seen it, too.
watch in
Yep.
that way. Like a lot of these movies, I don't, other than A Quiet Place, I don't think any of these are going to be scary.
Probably
Killer
not.
Clowns from
I
Outer
don't think
Space
any of them.
3D, Plan 9.
Yeah.
I think Quiet Place movies will be scary because they're just big summer blockbuster scare fests.
Sure.
Jump
Kinda
scare.
Jump
jumpy.
scare.
Yeah.
Action horror. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
Rocky Horror, I'm
I-
always nervous about a tentpole movie that is like all cult following.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We have a crew that really wants us, a very strong vocal crew, and I don't blame them, that wants us to do Neon Genesis Evangelion for the show.
Oh my God.
Which is a show I love, but I'm like, I am unmatched. I cannot keep up with the people.
Ill-prepared.
Ill-prepared to approach
Yeah.
it, and I feel a little bit that way about Rocky Horror. I'm still smarting
Like we
from
can
people.
approach it from our own point of view, but the lore goes real deep.
Yes, it does.
I
And
thought
they are
Jennifer-
nerds for it.
Yep. I thought Jennifer's Body was pretty good, and I still hear from people every now and then being like, I can't believe you hated that movie. I'm like, everyone leave me alone.
Hate it.
I didn't.
Gee, it's just-
I said it was pretty good. I
I
had some
feel the same
problems.
way, Jeffrey. I watched Jennifer's Body way later in my life, and I was like, guys, it's not that great. Everybody relax.
the costumes are cool.
They are.
I mean,
yeah.
sure, it's a little time capsule of the time period.
That's exactly it.
Yes.
But I'm like, oh, Megan Fox is supposed to be a hot demon.
God
we
damn it, they're going to
get
start
it.
emailing us again, Eileen.
I know
Sorry.
you're just digging it up.
Listen, guys, email me and let me know, and I will tell you how I feel, bitch.
Oh my
okay.
God.
A
Yes.
Quiet Place Day One supposedly got really good reviews, and I do want to see it eventually. But I think the move is The Thing from Another
Yeah.
World. Like
Do it.
I've seen the. It's been in so many other horror movies, like in Halloween, like when they're watching a TV.
Yes.
It's that movie times 5.
Yes. Yes. I think it's just such an. It's horror homework, even though that's not what we rolled, but it is
But-
a 5-word title. Johnny, Eileen,
Either
y'all are
that or
nodding.
the Japanese blob island movie. Those
I
are my
think
two
you should
choices.
do the thing. ¿Cómo se
Same.
llama? The thing
Yeah,
from.
The Thing from Another
Thing
World.
from Another World.
Do it. That's the
It's-
one.
It's
I
that
faint.
over Gokei Body Snatcher from Hell from 1968 Japan.
That sounds fantastic.
As much as I want
well.
to watch, yes, but I feel it. The other dimension that is telling me that when you cover this film, it will be fantastic.
Same. My other dimension self said, what a film to
That's
see.
the one.
Your innie.
Yes. My innie.
Oh my God. All right, great. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. Thank you, Johnny and Eileen of Uike Horror, for joining us once again. Where can people find you and your work in this world, y'all?
Johnny?
Well, please, first of all, find us at Uy Que Horror on all the social medias. That's UYQUE Horror. We're on
It sounds like you said that before.
Eileen
questions
usually
about
does
it.
it, so I'm like, am I getting it right? We
Yeah.
have a Patreon. Please follow us on Patreon. Eileen does a wonderful job posting things for us. I just let her film me doing foolish things, and I'm like, great, post it.
Yes, thank you
can
for
find
trusting me.
Absolutely, please. You can find me on all social media pages, sure, at Johnny Elliott. That's JONNYELIOT. See you there.
And me I'm the co-host of Uikuror. We released episodes every other Monday. Everything Johnny just said, and my personal stuff is at Aileen Lil Hands. Aileen Aileen, Lil Lil Hands with a Z. Literally in all the social medias that you are comfortable following.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for having us, you guys.
Yeah,
We
thanks,
love
guys.
being here and talking movies with y'all. You're the best in town, and we can't wait to have the both of you
Yes.
over on our pod
Yes.
soon.
Absolutely. Well, if y'all have thoughts on history of the occult or ideas for other movies that would have been good, 5+ word title about an alien, let us know at Random Horror 9 on Blue Sky, Instagram, or on Patreon, where we have public discussion threads for each episode, and you don't have to be a paying member to participate. And watch the thing from a and watch a thing. God, I cannot talk. And watch The Thing from Another World, 1951, with us this week. And come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no diabolical people taking over your country's government or nothing. Boo!
Boo.
Boo!
Boo.